Part 16. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 152. When she heard Dinan said that Lin Feng was a rare talent, Shang Yuna felt very strange. If Lin Feng is really a rare talent, then the gold content is higher than Guan Weidong, because a person like Guan Weidong, there are many Chinese states, but great talents are rare. Shang Yuna quickly thought that although Lin Feng is relatively talented, he is also a very ordinary person, an ordinary person with high kung fu. Dinan's words just now were a bit exaggerated. Thinking of this, she felt a little more comfortable, got up and sat next to Lin Feng again, and said with a smile, "As you said before, you don't want to make a fortune by kung fu." Lin Feng said, "If you ask me now, I will say the same. You saw it at the time, it was your boyfriend Guan Weidong who took the initiative to challenge me." Shang Yuna nodded. "What's new about your book?" Lin Feng said, "It's on fire." Shang Yuna was very surprised. When she asked Lin Feng some time ago, he also said that he was making progress slowly. Why did he suddenly become popular? Shang Yuna said, "Why is it so hot? How hot is it?" Lin Feng told her the madness of Yang Chun and Beixiu in great detail, and Shang Yuna was instantly shocked. A reader can spend so much money on a book, and how much money does his family have to take advantage of to be so arrogant? Looking at the rapidly increasing data of Lin Feng's novels and the Red Book review section, Shang Yuna was stunned, and it took a long time to calm down. "I think that Yang Chun Beixiu is mostly a rich lady." Lin Feng said, "Maybe it's a very rich married woman, her husband is not at home, so she's trying to give a reward." Shang Yuna said that women whose husbands are not at home are indeed easy to do rude things, but they are not crazy enough to throw a lot of money into an online novel. Lin Feng said, "I'm good at writing, but I can't help it." Shang Yuna was immediately speechless. Could it be that Lin Feng will be able to take off soon? But how do you think his virtue doesn't look like he is about to take off? Shang Yuna would like to ask, "Lin Feng, will the price of your novel be raised again soon?" But whether Lin Feng's novel raises the price or not, it has nothing to do with her, so don't ask, so as not to make any misunderstandings come. Lin Feng browses the pages of other novels, observes the data, and also reads the book review section of other novels. Shang Yuna has been sitting beside Lin Feng, using her scent to stimulate Lin Feng's sensitive nerves. Lin Feng's body is very tall and straight, and he really wants to take Shang Yuna into his arms and touch it. Lin Feng has touched Shang Yuna's body several times before, and every time is very enjoyable, but now, Shang Yuna has a boyfriend. People, even if he doesn't like Guan Weidong, he can't touch Shang Yuna casually. But you can still touch under special circumstances, such as when Shang Yuna seduces him or when he is angry. Dinan originally thought that Shang Yuna would sit by Lin Feng's side for a while and then leave, but she didn't expect to go out after more than half an hour. Dinan thought, "Shang Yuna, don't tell me that while you, a beautiful teacher, is in love with Guan Weidong, her heart is also towards Lin Feng. If that's the case, you are pretty wild enough." Dinan said, "I went out first, and then I took the Armani that Lin Feng bought for her and walked out." Shang Yuna said in her heart, "As a woman who has been a lead dancer and played love games, what's so good about you? It's not an Armani. If I come here with Louis Vuitton, I'll scare you to death." Shang Yuna does have an expensive Louis Vuitton, but it was bought for her by Li Zingguo in the past. Now that she is in love with Guan Weidong, she can't just carry that bag casually, otherwise she will not be able to answer Guan Weidong's question. Shang Yuna had already hid the Louis Vuitton bag in the cabinet and reminded Shang Yunjuan not to take the bag out when she was rummaging through things. When stylish Yunjuan said, "Your cabinet is your cabinet, mine is mine, and I usually don't turn over your cabinet." Shang Yuna said, "I just remind you." There were only two people in the room, she Lin Feng and Shang Yuna. Lin Feng was still browsing various pages, and Shang Yuna said silently for a moment, living in the master bedroom must be more comfortable than the original partition room. Lin Feng said, for sure, if you live in a separate apartment, you will be more comfortable. Shang Yuna said that the sound insulation of this master bedroom is very good, you will rarely hear the creaking and shouting from other rooms in the future. Will you be uncomfortable? Lin Feng said, you already have a boyfriend, no matter if your boyfriend is really big, you can't just me. Shang Yuna said, I didn't I just said that casually, and oh, you have yellowed the wall of the original partition room. My sister said that a girl who was watching the room saw the wall and smelled it. When I got there, I frowned and said, I don't want to rent it anymore. My sister said, I'll give you something cheaper. The girl said, I won't rent it anymore. My friend helped me find a more suitable one. Lin Feng said, then you just paint the walls. Shang Yuna said, come and brush. Lin Feng said, do not brush. Shang Yuna said that she must brush. Lin Feng was very annoyed, and pinched Shang Yuna's round breasts. Shang Yuna cried out in pain, and her beautiful face immediately blushed. She said coldly, I'm all a boyfriend, how can you touch my casually? Lin Feng said, not touching, but pinching. Shang Yuna said, it won't work if it touches my chest. Lin Feng said, what do you think? If you have the ability to let Guan Weidong beat me, he can't beat me. Shang Yuna thumped Lin Feng's arm a few times, shouted, you bastard, and walked towards the door with her twisted. When Shang Yuna was about to open the door, Lin Feng suddenly became emotional, rushed over and pinched her ass. Shang Yuna screamed again. This time it hurt even more than when she pinched her chest just now. Shang Yuna was so embarrassed that she looked at Lin Feng coldly, you bastard, are you courting death? Lin Fengzin said, anyway, I have pinched your chest and screwed you after you had a boyfriend. Twice is, 100 is also, Lao Zi's principle makes me not want to asterisk you, but you owe so much. Lin Feng reclined on the bed with a jump, his body trembled along with the big bed, and he smiled evilly at Shang Yuna, are you angry? If you have the ability, you pressed me on top. Shang Yuna was angry with Lin Feng several times before, and she even tried desperately to find Lin Feng with a kitchen knife. This time, she was even more dizzy by Lin Feng's anger, and she rushed over to crawl and pressed against Lin Feng. Lin Feng hugged Shang Yuna tightly and made a few movements towards her body. Shang Yuna was raped and wanted to grab Lin Feng's face with her long fingernails, but her hand was pinched by Lin Feng. Span. Shang Yuna said with a weeping voice, you are really a hooligan. What did you do just now? Lin Feng said with a smile, look, we both rolled onto the bed, even if I took off your pants and stunned you, you can't call me a hooligan. If I'm a hooligan, then you are also a hooligan. Shang Yuna said, let me go. Lin Feng not only did not let go, but also made a few movements towards Shang Yuna's body. Although she was wearing her pants, Shang Yuna felt Lin Feng's tall and straight, and felt a burst of sigh in her heart. If Lin Feng really rushed into her body, it might be very comfortable, or it might be terrifying. Feeling Lin Feng's hand reaching out to her panties, Shang Yuna immediately clamped her legs. At this time, she was thinking of Guan Weidong. After all, she was already Guan Weidong's girlfriend, so Lin Feng could not easily touch her. That part. Please, don't I already have a boyfriend, oh Lin Feng, what are you doing, I'm really begging you, get your hands out. Shang Yuna panicked. Although her legs were tight, Lin Feng still touched her softness and moisture. Her body trembled under Lin Feng's touch, and painful tears flowed out. Seeing Shang Yuna crying, Lin Feng pulled his hand back and took it out of Shang Yuna's trousers, and said with a smile, don't cry, don't you see me laughing, you should laugh along too, if I'm laughing and you're crying, then you won't be as happy as me. Shang Yuna choked up and said, you bastard, you bullied me like that, you're cool, I'm uncomfortable, you must be laughing at me and crying. Lin Feng laughed more happily, Shang Yuna cried more sadly. Lin Feng got out of bed, sat on the chair, opened the document in a dashing manner, and followed the last idea to code. When Shang Yuna heard the crisp sound of the green axis mechanical keyboard, her mood gradually stabilized. Shang Yuna took out a scented handkerchief and wiped away her tears. After getting out of bed, she lifted her trousers up, as if she had just taken off her trousers. In fact, when Lin Feng touched her, his hand squeezed through the waistband of her trousers. Sitting next to Lin Feng, Shang Yuna said, "You bullied me just now, are you particularly inspired?" Lin Feng said that he wasn't very inspired either. "If I had with you, my thoughts would flow like a fountain." Shang Yuna said, "Even if you may, you won't win the Nobel Prize for Literature." Lin Feng said, "I don't want to take that, I want to make money." Lin Feng continued to code, and Shang Yuna became silent. At the same time, she was also watching the plot that Lin Feng had just written. Lin Feng lit a cigarette, continued to type on the keyboard with both hands, and said with a smile, "Am I good at writing?" Shang Yuna said, "It's good." Lin Feng said, "Do you admire me?" Shang Yuna said, "I admire a little, but this admiration is not enough to make me your woman." Lin Feng said, "Since you have become Guan Weidong's boyfriend, try to come to me as little as possible. Even if you want to chat with me, don't come alone. If you and Guan Weidong came together this time, it would be impossible for me to touch it." "Your part." Shang Yuna said, "Stop talking, the more you talk about it, the angrier I get. I want to slap you." Lin Feng took a breath and said, "I have the ability to slap Guan Weidong, but you can't slap me." Shang Yuna said, "Don't be too complacent, be careful, he will handcuff you." Lin Feng said, "If I didn't commit a crime, he couldn't handcuff me. Even if I did commit a crime, it wouldn't necessarily fall into his hands." Shang Yuna didn't continue to say anything, and while reading the novel written by Lin Feng, she thought, what happened to the white snow in the spring? Why do you want to reward Lin Feng for so much money? More than half an hour later, Shang Yuna left Lin Feng's room. When she walked to the street, the scene of Lin Feng teasing her still echoed in her mind. Lin Feng's hands were evil, but she felt very. After typing more than 3,000 words, Lin Feng opened the book page and looked at it. The various data were still improving very quickly, and the book review area was still lively, but Lin Feng didn't know how long the popularity would last. After the two crazy rewards, Yang Chunbaixue continued to exert her strength. In the past few days, Lin Feng will be rewarded 100,000 every day. Invincible Dragon welcomes you again, remember us. Peach Youth. Author, Sci-fi. Chapter 153. When Lin Feng thought that there would be a lot of royalties this month, he felt very uncomfortable. If he had seen that woman and knew who that woman was, maybe he would have felt better, but the problem was that he didn't know who Yang Chunbaixue was. The only thing that was certain was that she was a woman. After resting for almost 20 minutes, Lin Feng continued to code, while Dainan was already thinking about purchasing the goods. Hearing the knock on the door, Lin Feng knew it was Dainan, went over to open the door, and smiled at Dainan. Walking into the room, Dainan said with a smile, "Shang Yuna is gone?" Lin Feng said, "Let's go." Dainan said, "It must have made you angry." Lin Feng said, "I didn't get mad at her very much. Maybe she was mad at herself. It's strange to be mad at all." Dainan said, "When will we buy AO?" Lin Feng said, "Don't worry, it will start tomorrow morning." In the next few days, Lin Feng and Dainan were very busy. They went to a few small commodity supermarkets to arrange the shelves and various goods. They spent more than 50,000 yuan. At present, they have less than 30,000 yuan in their hands. Funds. It will open tomorrow. Lin Feng and Dainan are very excited. It is already evening. Dainan wants to eat hot pot. Lin Feng said, I will treat you. Sitting in the hot pot city together, Dainan said with a smile, Li Xingguo said that the business license will not be issued until a week later. Will he be arrested for opening early? Lin Feng said, we won't be so unlucky, and Xingguo also said that if the relevant department finds it, you can find him. Dainan said, have you ever noticed that Li Xingguo is always loud, but his ability to do things is average? Lin Feng said, it's alright, he still has some energy. The eldest young master of the Jinwu Center is not for nothing. Everyone is stretched and shriveled. There is no one absolutely powerful in this world. Lin Feng and Dainan finished drinking a bottle of white wine, and the taste of the wine was very strong. When they returned to Lin Feng's room, Dainan walked to the edge of the sofa with hot steps and sat down. The posture, facing Lin Feng's account, quickly raised Erlang's legs again. Lin Feng walked to Dainan's side and stroked her slender legs. Dainan didn't have any opinion, and his flushed face was very enjoyable. Dainan said, do you predict how much it will sell for tomorrow? Lin Feng said that if you are lucky, you can break the 1,000. After all, we want to hold special promotions. Dainan said, it's only 1,000, do you think it's possible to exceed 5,000? Lin Feng said that even if the cost is pushed outwards, there may not be as much as 5,000 on the first day. Since it is a business, even if it is a discount, we must also consider the profit ratio, and it must not be too cheap, otherwise customers will doubt the quality of the goods. It's not easy to raise prices in the future. Dainan said, it makes sense, I will listen to you in the general direction. Today is a very special day. The Fengnan fashion store jointly opened by Lin Feng and Dainan is about to open. The signboard light box is not big, it was designed and produced in Shangyunjuan's graphic production center, and it can be regarded as taking care of Shangyunjuan's business. Looking at the simple and elegant signboard, Dainan said with a smile, Lin Feng, you are really talented, the name of Fengnan fashion store is so good, our business will definitely grow bigger and bigger. Lin Feng said, I also like this name very much, it is very atmospheric and auspicious, maybe our luck will be very good. At the beginning, Lin Feng actually gave Dainan the right to name the shop, but Dainan thought about it a few times in a row. She was not satisfied, and Lin Feng also felt that it was not very good. Dainan later said, Lin Feng, you are an online novelist with rich vocabulary and active thinking. You must be able to name our store well. Lin Feng didn't want to think about this, because coming up with a nice name might be more irritating than thinking about a satisfactory plot. Recently, he has already had enough questions in his mind. But since Dainan said so, he certainly did not disappoint Dainan. After thinking about several names, he finally decided to call it Fengnan Fashion Store. I bought 2 sets of 5,000 ring red firecrackers, and after they let them go, there was a layer of red firecrackers on the ground. Lin Feng stared at the words opening daji on the facade and walked in for a few seconds. Dainan then went in. At this time, Dainan must play 3 roles, namely, a shopping guide for the boss and a cashier. Lin Feng said, you usually take care of the business in the store, I usually just code words, and I will come over when I have time. Dainan said, you have to remember that this is our joint store. Once you have time, you have to come here often. Lin Feng, in fact, you are a very lucky person. You can bring good luck to our store by coming here often. Lin Feng said, if I can increase my turnover by 1,000 yuan every time I come here, then I will come here at least 20 times a day. Dainan laughed happily. Lin Feng saw Dainan's towering chest trembling, and immediately wanted to knead a few times. At this moment, 2 girls walked in hand. The melon-faced girl said, oh, this store is open, it's fast enough, wow, it's full of everything, it has everything. The round-faced girl said, there are enough things, but it seems that there is nothing we need, right? The melon-faced girl said, Why not? It's all we need, so many small accessories, and women's bags. Oh, this hairpin is so beautiful, how much is it? Dinan quickly said that the original price is 30 yuan, 40% off 5 days before the opening, 18 yuan. The round-faced girl said, "You're so crazy, what are you buying a hairpin for? How many of the girls in the school have hairpins?" The melon-faced girl said, "I just like issuing cards. I had a similar one before, but it broke down. The color of this card is very beautiful, and the quality seems to be good." "Oh, beautiful boss, is 15 yuan okay?" Dinan said with a smile, "If it wasn't for the opening discount, at most a 20% discount would be offered, and if it was 40% off, it would be no longer profitable, and if it was 15 yuan, it would lose money." The melon-faced girl finally spent 18 yuan to buy this hairpin, and went out with the round-faced girl. This is the first item sold by Fennan Fashion Store. The purchase price for this card was 12 yuan, and it was sold for 18 yuan. The price difference was 6 yuan. Dinan said excitedly, "Lin Feng, it's great, our small shop has opened, and the turnover has already reached 18 yuan. Lin Feng said, "It's a good sign." Dinan wrote it down in the bookkeeping book, issued the card. Lin Feng lit a cigarette and smoked, moved a chair and sat beside Dinan. He didn't stare at Dinan's face, but Dinan felt that Lin Feng was looking at her face all the time. Dinan didn't dare to face Lin Feng, for fear of meeting Lin Feng's eyes, but she shyly said, "You are really annoying, you keep staring at my face, it's not like you haven't seen it before." Lin Feng was very stunned, because he didn't stare at Dinan's face just now. If he said, "I didn't look at you," Dinan might lose face, and he might think he was hypocritical. "It's better to follow Dinan's meaning," Lin Feng said with a smile, "because you are so beautiful." Dinan said, "What's the use of being beautiful? My life is suffering." Lin Feng said, "That was in the past, but now it is different. You are the boss. Although you are the owner of a small shop, you are also the boss. Good days are to come." Dinan's smile is very bright, like a peach blossom and a scorching sun. An hour passed, several waves of people came on and off, and 3 more items were sold, with a turnover of 76 yuan. Dinan has been planning this shop for a long time. Every time she sells more money, she will be very excited. Since Lin Feng and Dinan have become partners, he must also be very concerned about the business of the shop, and naturally he is also very happy. Dinan clenched his fists tightly, and said with a loud voice, "The turnover is almost over 100 yuan, which is really good." Lin Feng thinks that if he is lucky today, the turnover may exceed 1,000, but the business should not only be based on the first few days of business, but must be viewed for a long time. When some stores first opened, their business was very good, giving the boss the illusion that they would definitely make money, but in the end they lost money. Some stores didn't do well when they first opened, but the more they go on, the better their business is. The most important thing in doing business is to write a word. If you do it well, you will naturally make money. If you do it poorly, you will gradually lose face from customers, and you will naturally lose money. A boy walked in, and without looking carefully, he asked, "Is there a belt buckle?" "That's it." He took out the broken belt buckle for Lin Feng to see. Lin Feng said with a smile, "There is currently no. The boy leaves soon." Dinan said that the person just now was too insensitive to colors. Such gorgeous colors must be women's goods. Lin Feng said that gorgeous colors may also have men's products. Dinan said, "Why don't we buy some belt buckles too?" Lin Feng said that if he really came back, he might not be able to sell a few, or he might not be able to sell even one a month. If he wants to add some kind of goods, he must observe it for a while to see how many people ask. Dinan said, "Yes, your brain is still useful, and it is right to do business with you. If I am alone, I have to pay for it? When it was about noon, the turnover of the small shop had exceeded 300 yuan. Dinan kept saying that the goods we bought are not bad, it is all your credit, many goods are yours to choose of. Lin Feng said, the credit belongs to the two of us, and you have a good eye for choosing goods. At this time, two people came in, which surprised Lin Feng and Dinan. They were Shang Yuna and Guan Weidong. With a light smile on her beautiful face, Shang Yuna looked at Lin Feng's face and said, "You're opening today, I'll come and see." Lin Feng said with a smile, "Since he's here, let's just consume it." Shang Yuna said, "I'll take a look first." She walked between the shelves, walking slowly and looking very seriously, as if she wanted to choose a bag. Guan Weidong was very depressed. In fact, he didn't want to come, but Shang Yuna insisted on coming, so he had to follow him. He thought that Shang Yuna would leave after just a few words, but unexpectedly she became serious. Guan Weidong really can't figure it out. This kind of main argument is about what is worth spending in a noisy store. When he saw Shang Yuna holding a bag and gesturing in the mirror, Guan Weidong said with a smile, "Yuna, this bag is obviously not good. Suitable for you, if you want a bag, I will take you to the store to buy it." As if she didn't hear Guan Weidong's words, Shang Yuna continued to gesture the bag. After a few minutes, she said, "It's pretty good looking. The color of this bag can match many clothes, and the quality is good. How much does it cost?" Lin Feng said that the original price is 180 yuan, and the opening discount is 40% off, which is 108 yuan, but we are old acquaintances. I will give you the purchase price, 80 yuan. The purchase price of this bag was actually 58 yuan, but Lin Feng did not want to sell it to Shang Yuna for 58 yuan. After all, he did not open the store alone, and Dinan had half of his share, so he said 80 yuan. Invincible Dragon welcomes you again, remember us. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 154. Shang Yuna said, "If you can't pay according to the purchase price, or you will lose money, I am here to take care of your business, and you must make money. I will pay 110 yuan. Lin Fengzin said, "With 110 by your side, the price you paid is also M." Shang Yuna paid 110 yuan, and then went out with Guan Weidong with her bag. Guan Weidong's face was ashen, and he was obviously very angry. "Go." Sitting in the car, Guan Weidong slapped the steering wheel abruptly, and said coldly, "You are so Lin Feng, you have taken care of his business, and you have made me so angry." Shang Yuna said, "Lin Feng and I are friends. He has helped me a few times before. He and Dinan's store opened. I should take care of their business. If you are angry, I can't help it." Guan Weidong's eyes burst into anger, and he had the urge to slap Shang Yuna again, but he resisted it and said coldly, "Do you know who I am? I am a person of status and also your boyfriend. You will lose face when you spend in such a low-end store." Shang Yuna didn't want to continue arguing with Guan Weidong anymore. She smiled and said, "Okay, don't be angry. This time is special. It's mainly to take care of Lin Feng and Dinan's business. If I want anything in the future, you can take me there, buy it at a premium store." Guan Weidong was still very unhappy. He drove the car on the spacious asphalt road and began to wonder if Shang Yuna and Lin Feng had some kind of ambiguous relationship. Even if it breaks now, has it happened before? Shang Yuna is charming and graceful, that kind of smell can easily arouse the original impulse of men. Guan Weidong has long wanted to do that with Shang Yuna, but Shang Yuna has never agreed, and warned him, "If you dare to treat me the overlord is the bow, I will definitely leave you." Could it be that Shang Yuna had done it with Lin Feng before, and had done it many times. The reason why Shang Yuna didn't become Lin Feng's girlfriend was because he was too poor and had no background. Many people who do that are not boyfriends and girlfriends. Guan Weidong thinks it is very possible, but if you ask Shang Yuna, she probably won't admit it. The actual situation is that Lin Feng has eaten a lot of tofu from Shang Yuna, but he has never done that kind of thing. Even after Shang Yuna became Guan Weidong's girlfriend, Lin Feng also ate her tofu, but he didn't want to eat at that time. Her tofu, but he made Shang Yuna angry, and then touched her body. In the feminine fashion store, Dinan sighed and said that Yun Na took care of our business, and it was estimated that Guan Weidong was going to quarrel with her. Lin Feng lit a cigarette and blew out a puff of smoke. There will definitely be a quarrel. Before leaving the store, Guan Weidong will be so angry. Dinan said, I don't think Guan Weidong is a good person. It's true that he has a little money and a little relationship, but he can't do it. Lin Feng said, at the beginning, I thought he was okay, but gradually I also thought he was not good. Maybe he has a strong work ability and is a good policeman, but he may not be a good husband. Another business came to the door, and 6 girls came in at once, chatting and roaming the shelves. The variety is quite complete. This head flower is so pretty. Oh, I want to buy a pair of silver earrings. I don't know if there are any suitable ones. I want to buy a phone case. Dinan gave Lin Feng a very ambiguous wink and reminded him, look, there are 6 girls AI, it's time for you to show. If Lin Feng walked over to introduce him, he could smell several different aromas, but he still asked Dinan to introduce him. Almost 20 minutes later, the 6 girls left the store and spent more than 100 yuan in total. I glanced at the time, it was almost 1 o'clock. Lin Feng said, go to dinner, I'm watching, you bring me a double-cooked pork rice bowl. Dinan said, go eat, bring me a bowl of eggplant rice with fish flavor and a bottle of green tea. Lin Feng knew that Dinan was reluctant to leave the store at the prime time of the sale. He smiled and ran out. He went to a nearby restaurant to eat twice-cooked pork rice, and then brought the fish-flavored eggplant rice and green tea to Dinan. Lin Feng's speed was very fast, and it took less than 40 minutes to go back and forth, but in such a short period of time, Dinan actually sold 2 bags, and the turnover increased by 210 yuan. Dinan said that doing business is fun, and seeing the turnover increase little by little is a wonderful feeling. Lin Feng said that doing business is very addictive, especially after making money, it is indeed a kind of enjoyment. Afternoon. Up to now, the turnover of the small shop has reached more than 600 yuan, and there is no problem in breaking through 1000 yuan on the first day of opening. If you are lucky, you can sell more than 2000 yuan. A Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle parked on the side road next to Fengnan Fashion Store. Li Xingguo and Zhao Fei got out of the car and walked in. Li Xingguo smiled happily, but Zhao Fei was very arrogant. Walking into the store, Li Xingguo laughed and said, how was AI on the first day of opening? Lin Feng gave Li Xingguo a cigarette, lit it for him, and said with a smile that the turnover has exceeded 600. Li Xingguo said, what is the concept of breaking through 600? Lin Feng said that when it closes at night, it is estimated that today's turnover will be about 2000 yuan. Of course, if no one buys goods from now until the night closes, the turnover may be more than 600 yuan. Li Xingguo said, who said no one bought it? I brought Zhao Fei here to buy things. My dear, please choose quickly. You are not allowed to go out if you choose less than 2000 yuan. Zhao Fei complained, I know you have a good relationship with Lin Feng, but even if you want to take care of Lin Feng and Dinan's business, you don't have to buy 2000 yuan, right? I don't even know what to buy. Usually the things you buy for me are too high-end, don't say, I can't see any of the things here. Lin Feng and Dinan were a little embarrassed. Li Xingguo smiled embarrassedly, walked over a few steps, frowned and said, Where did you come from? So much nonsense, you can choose if you want it. Lin Feng walked over and said, Xingguo, I welcome you and Zhao Fei to take care of the store's business, but let Zhao Fei choose for herself. If you don't want to buy and sell, you can buy what's right, and you don't have to buy it if you don't. Zhao Fei looked arrogantly at Lin Feng's face. The things here are too rotten and not suitable. Li Xingguo had the heart to slap Zhao Fei, but he loved Zhao Fei very much, so he held back and did not do anything, although he grabbed 3 bags from the shelf, walked towards the cashier, and asked Dinan, these 3 bags, how much is the total? If you give me a discount for AI without a discount, I'm in a hurry with you. Dinan also saw that Li Xingguo would not go out without some money. Dinan said that the 3 bags cost a total of 560 yuan. Li Xingguo counted out 600 yuan from the wallet, and after saying that there was no need to look for it, he was going to drag Zhao Fei out. Since it's business, what it should be, Dinan still found 40 yuan of change from Li Xingguo. Sitting in the Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle, Zhao Fei said, hurry up and drive, I am disgusted. Li Xingguo held the steering wheel and said angrily, who disgusted you? Zhao Fei said that she was disgusted by the goods in that small shop. Li Xingguo said, I made you feel sick. It's not that you don't know, I have a very good relationship with Lin Feng. If you don't give Lin Feng face, you just don't give me face. You really annoy me, it doesn't do you any good. What Zhao Fei is most afraid of now is that Li Xingguo dumped her, and the most worrying thing is that Li Xingguo will marry her soon. Zhao Fei said, I'm sorry, I'll pay attention to it later. Li Xingguo said, it's not enough to just say sorry, I have to punish you and pout. Zhao Fei was surprised and said, are you crazy? In broad daylight and on the road again, what do you want to do? Li Xingguo said, you just need to pout. Zhao Fei could only pout her round buttocks. Li Xingguo pinched her buttocks hard, Zhao Fei screamed in pain. Li Xingguo laughed and stepped on the accelerator, the Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle wore it out, and the dynamic dance music soon rang. Just now, Zhao Fei thought that Li Xingguo was going to give her a meal, but she didn't expect to screw her ass. Zhao Fei said with resentment, you is too ruthless, my will definitely make you swollen. Li Xingguo said, I have some trauma medicine, I will give you some, and then I will try to slap you hard. Zhao Fei said, you used to be hard enough when you used to mess with me, you didn't know Liang Xiangziyu at all, it seemed like you were going to kill me. It was not until 10:30 in the evening that the Fengnan fashion store closed. The turnover on the first day of opening reached 2,200 yuan. Lin Feng and Dinan did a simple calculation while walking on the road. The gross profit was about 800 yuan, throwing away various expenses, you can make hundreds of dollars. If it weren't for Li Xingguo's nervousness, the turnover would not have been so high, but in the future, Li Xingguo will not be nervous every day. Lin Feng's room. As soon as he walked in, Dinan quickly ran a few steps and collapsed on the sofa. His long hair was messed up, a little blurry and a little intoxicated. She said with a charming smile, the master bedroom is comfortable, I want to retreat the partition room, live with you. If they live together, it means sleeping on the same bed, which is cohabitation. They are not boyfriend and girlfriend or lovers. Is cohabitation suitable? Seeing that Lin Feng was hesitant, Dinan laughed, look, I scared you, I just made a joke, I don't want to live with you, I don't want to be with you, and I don't want to affect your relationship. Girlfriend. Lin Feng said, it's really not suitable for us to live together, but it's nothing. If you really want to sleep in the master bedroom, you can sleep in my bed, and I'll go to your partition room to sleep. Dinan said, no, you think I don't like this big soft bed. In fact, the environment of your master bedroom is also very general. Lin Feng took Dinan into his arms, stroked her plump breasts, and said with a smile, look at you. Dinan said, we are both bosses, it's nothing to be simple, especially you are both a great writer and a boss, and you should be the best. Lin Feng said, I am not a big writer now, but a small writer. My ability may not be as high as you think. Dinan said, do the math, how much money I made today. Maybe I'm too excited, my mind is a little messed up, it's up to you to do the math. Lin Feng lit a cigarette and said with a smile that he had paid for the expenses before. The rent was 10,000 yuan a month, which averaged more than 330 yuan per day. The cost of water, electricity, and other items was more than 30 yuan a day. Please invite a shopping guide in the future. Guaranteed 1,500 yuan with commission, then the daily apportionment is 50 yuan, which is about 420 yuan. Now it is just opening to get a 40% discount. If it is 20% off under normal circumstances in the future, according to the profit ratio, the daily turnover will be more than only 800 yuan. Can guarantee the principal, if you sell less than 800 yuan, you will lose money. Invincible Dragon welcomes you again, remember us. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 155. Dinan said that today is the first day of opening, and the turnover has reached more than 2,200 yuan. Is it not trivial to sell 800 yuan every day from now on? Maybe more than 2,000 yuan can be sold every day in the future, more than 3,000 yuan is possible. Although the store is not big, only 30 square meters, the decoration is very ordinary, and the items sold are not very valuable, but Dinan does place a lot of hope in this small store and has a very warm fantasy. Lin Feng voluntarily blew a sigh of smoke at Dinan's beautiful face, and said with a smile, don't be too optimistic, the first day of business sales was more than 2,000, it doesn't mean that it will sell more than 2,000 every day in the future, maybe from now on, I can't even sell 500 yuan a day. Dinan was very nervous. Her graceful and slender body even trembled a few times. She wondered, it won't be so bad, right? If so, don't we lose money? Lin Feng said, I just made an assumption just now. Of course, there is another situation that the daily turnover can be maintained at around 1,500 in the future, so even if the traffic decreases during the holidays, we can make a fortune in a year. Dinan said, if you say that, I will see it disappear again, I hope we can have good luck. Oh, today I delayed your typing, and the loss is more than 400 yuan, which is more than the net profit of our small shop today. I'm sorry. Lin Feng said, it doesn't matter, the top priority is to quickly find a reliable shopping guide. This task will be handed over to you. You find someone, and I will check it. What do you think? Dinan said, I'll see. Actually, I already have a choice in my heart. It's a friend of mine. At the same time, this girl has a good relationship with Zhao Fei. I used to have beauty care massage in a beauty salon, but I don't know what to do now. Lin Feng said that being a shopping guide in our small shop is comparable to being a shopping guide. I guess she is reluctant to come here. If you are looking for it, it is best to find someone who has been a shopping guide before, who has sold clothes, shoes, or cosmetics. Dinan said that she has said several times before that some guests always eat her tofu, which makes her very uncomfortable. If there are other suitable jobs, she doesn't want to do it. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, she used to be a shopping guide in a branded clothing store in China World Trade Center. Later, the boss suspected that she had stolen the money from the store, beat her and fired her. At that time, she said that she would never be a shopping guide again in her life, so sad span. Lin Feng said, did she steal? Dinan said, based on what I know about her, probably not, but she didn't call the police after she was beaten. At that time, her eyes were swollen, and her arms and back were injured. Lin Feng said, then you should contact her, and when we meet, I will ask her, maybe she is suitable, maybe she is not suitable. Even if the girl is very sad after being beaten, it doesn't mean she didn't steal. Even if a real thief is beaten, she will be very sad. They will think that stealing is justified, and it is wrong to beat them. Dinan really wanted to continue chatting with Lin Feng for a night, and then go to the store after having breakfast together, but she could see that Lin Feng still wanted to write at night, and she also needed to rest and be energetic to take better care of her business. Dinan went back to her partition room and lay on the bed tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. She was waiting for the dawn, waiting for Fen Nan fashion store to open again, waiting to make her anxious, waiting to make her full of relaxation. Lin Feng opened his novel page, and what he saw was still the rapidly increasing data and the red book review area. The 100,000 asterisk of Yangchun Baixu had been delivered today, and the reward was given at about 8 o'clock in the evening. Lin Feng tried to infer her life rules based on the reward time of Yangchun Baixu, but he didn't see why. Yangchun Baixu seemed to be able to surf the internet at any time. If she's a woman who spends a lot of time at home, she can do it, and if she's a woman who spends a lot of time in the office, she can do this too. After accepting Yangchun Baixu's high reward, Lin Feng couldn't take it easy, but he didn't know who Yangchun Baixu was, and now he wasn't even a chat friend, so he didn't have the chance to say thank you or ask why. When Lin Feng opened the chat account, he saw Wang Wei, a female college student, online. Normally, it's so late, and Wang Wei is already lying on the bed. Lin Feng sent a message, "Dear Xiao Wei, what are you doing so late?" "Wang Wei, who is your dear? You can't spit out ivory. I want to write a report and submit it tomorrow. I will check the information on the internet, and go online on the chat account. I didn't expect you to see it. Didn't your and Dinan's shop open today? How about it?" Lin Feng, sold for 100,000 yuan. "Wang Wei, you didn't sell Dinan, did you?" Lin Feng smiled and followed up with a message, "You are really imaginative, I just made fun of you, but today's turnover is indeed more than 2,200. Wang Wei, yes, it's a good sign. Maybe it will get better and better in the future. I'll check the information first. I'll ignore you. I'll go back to your store to have a look." After midnight. Lin Feng typed on the keyboard. Dinan was lying on the bed in the partition room, fantasizing about the turnover, but also wondering if Lin Feng was typing. Since Lin Feng moved to the master bedroom, Dinan couldn't hear the sound of the green axis mechanical keyboard, and sometimes even felt very empty. At Shang Yunjuan's house, the landlady of charm, Shang Yuna was crying on the sofa. Shang Yunjuan sat helplessly beside her. She wanted to comfort her, but she didn't know what to say. Shang Yuna choked up and said, "Sister I don't think Guan Weidong is suitable for me at all. He is becoming more and more virtuous." Shang Yunjuan reluctantly said, "It's also your fault, Weidong is by your side, you have to go to the small shop opened by Lin Feng and Dinan to spend, it's no wonder he's not angry. Weidong is a man of status and status. You slap him in the face when you spend in such a small shop." Shang Yuna said coldly, "You think he is very rich? If I ask him for a Patek Philippe astronomical watch, that is, a few $1,000,000, he will definitely be reluctant to buy it." Shang Yunjuan said angrily, "Yuna, don't be so extreme. If you really want a high-end automatic mechanical watch, let him buy an Omega for you. The women's watches in the Constellation series are very beautiful and high-end. You wear it on your arm, many colleagues will envy you." Shang Yuna said, "Forget it, I'll bear with it this time. If he keeps getting angry with me in the future, I'll consider whether to continue dating him." Shang Yunjuan said, "Maybe after the two of you had that incident, he would treat you better, but you never let him touch him." Shang Yuna said that until he got married, he would never have met me in that place. Shang Yunjuan said, "What's the trouble?" Shang Yuna said that she was afraid of being dumped. Shang Yunjuan said, Then be careful, that's fine, at least he won't think you are a random person. Shang Yuna said, I was not casual, I went to bed. Sister, you should go to bed earlier too. Lin Feng typed until the early morning, more than 10,000 words, and then lay down on the bed and went to sleep. Just when Lin Feng was half asleep and half awake, he suddenly received a call from Xiao Qian, the Mad Queen, the beauty of the junior high school. Lin Feng was very surprised. Wang Xiaoqian actually called him at this time. Could it be that something major happened? Lin Feng quickly picked it up and asked her, Xiaoqian, what happened to you? Wang Xiaoqian giggled, look, you're nervous. I'm lying on the bed, tossing and turning and can't fall asleep, so I'll harass you a little bit. It won't affect your enthusiasm with a certain beauty. Lin Feng said, you're crazy enough. You don't have to harass me in your spare time. Be careful, I'll fix you. Wang Xiaoqian said, if you have the ability, come and fix me, come back on the train to fix me, no matter how you fix me, I will recognize it. Lin Feng said, don't talk nonsense, there is a beautiful woman lying beside me. Wang Xiaoqian said, don't be stinky, if there is a beautiful woman lying beside you, even if you answer my call, you will not chat with me in this tone, you must be very lonely, think about my chest, you not lonely anymore. Lin Feng said, if I fantasize about your breasts, I'll be lonelier, why don't you come to me by train? Wang Xiaoqian was silent for a while, then said, if I go to play, will you really welcome me? Lin Feng said, yes. Wang Xiaoqian said, maybe if I really passed, you will show my face. Lin Feng said, no. Wang Xiaoqian said, I'll think about it, maybe I'll find you to play with after a while, but don't worry, I won't depend on you. Lin Feng and Wang Xiaoqian chatted for about 10 minutes. They felt very comfortable and they slept better. Morning. When Lin Feng was still asleep, Dinan's knock on the door woke him up. Looking at the time, it was almost 8 o'clock. Before this little shop, Lin Feng could sleep freely at this point until he wanted to get up, but now he has to get up. If he stays in bed, Dinan will be depressed. After getting up and washing up, we ate breakfast together and arrived at Fengnan Fashion Store. It was already 9 o'clock. Dinan sat at the cash register, Lin Feng sat beside her and smoked. Dinan said, what time did you go to bed last night? Lin Feng said, in the early morning, later. Dinan said, if you are sleepy, go back to sleep for a while, but I still hope that you can stay in the store with me, after all, this is the second day of the opening of the small store, let us both keep track of the turnover, increase it. Lin Feng said, I'll be there in the morning. After lunch, I'll go back to sleep for a while, and then start typing. Can you see? Dinan said, no problem. 2 hours have passed, and many people came in to shop, but not enough to buy things, and the turnover is still less than 200 yuan. Dinan was very anxious, sweat dripped from his forehead, and he tangled, today's turnover won't even be less than 500, right? Lin Feng lit a cigarette and said with a smile, it will definitely exceed 500. How much can you sell? You only know when you check out before closing the door. There are fewer people in the morning, but it doesn't mean that there are fewer people in the afternoon and evening. Dinan said, you can say it last night. In the future, the daily turnover may not even be 500. Looking at today's momentum, it may be fulfilled. Lin Feng said with a smile, I was just fighting your fantasy and said a possibility. I said last night that maybe the daily turnover in the future can be maintained at around 1,500, but it will definitely not be as you think. It's an exaggeration of more than 3,000 a day. Invincible Dragon welcomes you again, remember us. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 156. More than an hour passed, and the turnover finally exceeded 200 yuan. Lin Feng was very calm, but Dinan was even more anxious. Lin Feng said, "You go to dinner, I'm watching." Dinan said, "You should go eat and bring me some ramen." There were no customers in the store, and no one passed by the door for the time being. Lin Feng took the opportunity to kiss Dinan's face, pinched her plump breasts, and said with a smile, "Don't worry, go eat quickly, since you're the boss, you have to keep calm, the better your mentality, the easier it will be to change from a small boss to a big boss." Dinan's smile finally brightened up, and whenever she smiled brightly, it would be very hot. Tasting the taste of Dinan, Lin Feng was very impulsive. Dinan said, "Then I went to eat, came back to bring you a rice bowl, and then walked out." Lin Feng was playing with the bookkeeping pen in his hand, and at the same time observing the goods in the store. He was thinking, what kind of goods can attract more customers? I have never done business before, but Lin Feng has really put a lot of effort into purchasing goods from small stores. After careful consideration for a long time, he has put on the current goods. Even if it does not sell to the extreme, it can basically be sold. When did a fashion store open here? I've never been here before, go check it out. The very familiar voice made Lin Feng's mind all of a sudden. When Lin Feng stood up, Lu Xiona had walked in with 6 women, all of them with heavy makeup and very hot stuff. Lin Feng immediately understood that the 6 women following Lu Xiona were all her chickens. Since she became a chicken head, Lu Xiona no longer needed to take off her pants to receive customers. She dragged a lot more than before. Lu Xiona still holds the Oxford Dictionary in her arms, ready to explain to curious people at any time. Said that she was studying English in New Oriental, and after a while, Lu Xiona would say to curious people, "I am a teacher of New Oriental." This lie for the sake of building the archway was carefully designed by Lu Xiona. At present, it is said that it is still very useful for students of New Oriental. When it is not very easy to use, she will be upgraded from student to teacher. Seeing Lin Feng, Lu Xiona was very surprised. She frowned slightly and said, "Why are you here?" "Oh, I see. You are the owner of this small shop." Lin Feng said, "Dinan and I opened this store together." "You have seen Dinan before?" Lu Xiona smiled ambiguously, "Okay, you and Dinan are progressing fast enough that even a mom-and-pop shop has opened." Lin Feng said, "You misunderstood, Dinan and I are just ordinary friends and partners." Lu Xiona said in her heart, "Dinan is so beautiful and hot, I don't believe you have never her. Maybe you have been to her many times. Your ability is very strong. You can make Dinan very comfortable every time." Then Dinan said, "Since we have been comfortable together, why not open a shop together?" Lu Xiona began to use the supernatural powers of Xiajitu and shouted to the women around her, "Sisters, if you see something, buy it hard. He is my friend. We have to take care of his business." Soon, a girl with a round face and a hot face came over, her round buttocks kept twisting, and she smiled charmingly, "Boss, will you give me a discount?" Lin Feng said that in the first week of opening, every day is 40% off. If you buy it, it can be lower. Lu Xiona and her chickens started to choose something. Lu Xiona brought a bag over without thinking much, touched Lin Feng's arm, and showed a hot smile. "How much?" Lin Feng said. $90 if you want." Lu Xiona said, "It's so interesting. You gave me a 50% discount. You won't lose it, right?" Lin Feng said that it was almost the same. Lu Xiona took out a long wallet from her satchel, and then took out 100 yuan from the wallet. "No need to look for it." Lin Feng said, "You really have become rich and powerful." Lu Xiona said proudly, "Trivial. The other 6 women have all bought things, 3 of them have bought bags, and the other 3 have bought small things. Although it is a watch, sometimes it is necessary to pay attention to the grade." Even if the fungus is very black, you must wash your skin. Even if the body odor is normal, you must use intoxicating perfume, and the stockings on your legs are not allowed pills easily. Luziona left with 6 women, and they spent a total of 530 yuan. Before leaving, Luziona winked at Lin Feng and said, "I'll find you when I have time, and give you some humanistic care." Lin Fengzin said that humanism cares about your sister, but your little chicken head is really interesting to me. Dainan came back and brought Lin Feng a fried pork rice bowl with shredded potatoes and a bottle of Coke. He asked anxiously, "Is there anyone shopping?" Lin Feng said, "No." Dainan said, "It's really annoying, why no one buys it?" Lin Feng said, "I just sold 530 yuan, and now the turnover has exceeded 700 yuan. Dainan shouted really excitedly, and immediately looked at the account book, jumping up and down with joy, hugging Lin Feng's neck and kissing his face twice. Looking at him with serious eyes, his face said, "Tell me, how can you be so good?" Lin Feng disagreed, "Isn't it just sold for a few $100s, you are excited, calm down quickly, remember, you are the material to be a big boss." Dainan said, I'm calm, but she's still not calm, because she's too excited, her body is extremely wet, she even feels her are wet, but she won't go home before closing the door at night, change shorts in advance. Dainan said, "How come there are customers as soon as I go out, and so many are sold all at once?" Lin Feng said that a friend of mine brought a few sisters here to take care of our business. Dainan said, "You have so many friends, who is this time?" Lin Feng said, "You know it too, Luziona." Dainan laughed. Lin Feng said, "You should stop laughing." She stopped laughing now, but said in her heart, "Lin Feng, you are really good, this time the person who bought things was a person who made you feel comfortable, and she brought several watches. Son came over and took care of our business." Lin Feng ate a bowl of rice, drank a bottle of Coke, smoked another cigarette, and said with a smile, "I'll go back first. Get some sleep, and then start coding." Dainan said, "Come here at one point." Lin Feng said that at dinner, you will definitely not be hungry. Dainan said, "Then you eat first, and then bring me the rice." Lin Feng nodded and walked out. Along the way, Lin Feng walked very fast. He wanted to go back quickly and open the pages to take a look. Maybe Yang Chun Baixu has already delivered today's reward. Lin Feng returned to the master bedroom, sat on the chair, turned on the computer, and opened the pages of the book. As expected, Yang Chun Baixu did send today's reward ahead of time at 11 o'clock in the morning. It can be seen that Yang Chun Baixu went online. The time is indeed very irregular. Various data have stabilized and are much higher than before. Lin Feng is very excited. But he didn't want Yang Chun Baixu to continue rewarding him, but he couldn't let the website block Yang Chun Baixu's account. Even if he made such a request, the website would not agree. Maybe his editor-in-chief, the beautiful woman whose online name is Wenqing, is not sick, will think that he is sick. A disease more serious than Wenqing is naturally a neuropathy. Lin Feng simply browsed a few new books that had just been launched, and then began to read the news, more than half an hour later. As soon as Lin Feng lay on the bed, his cell phone rang. It turned out to be the call from Su Qingyuan, the daughter of the owner of Taiyuan Coal in Jin Province. Some time ago, he has always wanted to contact Su Qingyuan, but the contact has never been successful. Su Qingyuan never answered his calls, and Su Qingyuan did not reply to the text messages he sent. Lin Feng picked it up curiously and said with a smile, "Su Qingyuan, you are not enough friends. When you and Cao Lin were in Shuiqing County, I treated you all well, but how could you hurt me?" Su Qingyuan let out a sweet laugh. "Lin Feng, when did I hurt you, can you explain clearly?" Lin Feng said, "I don't know what you said to Zhao Heidao. He hates me now. I have been friends with Zhao Heidao for many years, and we have never blushed. Now that we are in crisis, I am begging you. Tell me what you said to her. Su Qingyuan was silent for a moment and said, I told him, you made me feel very comfortable, and I also said that Lin Feng's bed skills are much better than your smelly trigger. Lin Feng's head exploded immediately, his scalp was numb, and his eyes were shining with gold stars. No wonder Zhao Heidao was so angry. It turned out that Su Qingyuan told him this. Lin Feng said, Su Qingyuan, you are still not human, when have I ever you? I haven't even touched your panties. Su Qingyuan said, don't deny it since you've done it. How can I remember you kissing me frantically, tearing off my pants, rushing into my body regardless of my resistance, and giving me a fierce attack? Lin Feng said, you fart. Su Qingyuan said, you're on me. Lin Feng said, fuck, I have never you. Su Qingyuan said again, you got on, and then hung up. Lin Feng called her 3 more times, but she hung up. Su Qingyuan was too ruthless. He had never been in it, but it must be said that he did. The key problem is that Zhao Heidao still believed it. Lin Feng also doesn't know how long this black pot will be carried, should it be carried for a lifetime. Unless Su Qingyuan explained it to him personally, Zhao Heidao would never forgive him. Lin Feng sent a text message, Su Qingyuan, I have no grievances with you, you can't hurt me like this, or you will get retribution. Su Qingyuan actually sent a text message back to Lin Feng, the retribution I got was getting richer and smarter. Lin Feng was about to faint from the coal boss's daughter Su Qingyuan, and lay on the bed with weak limbs and trembling all over. After lying on the bed for more than an hour, he couldn't fall asleep at all. Lin Feng sat up angrily and punched the soft bed suddenly, even his own body bouncing up. Sitting on the chair, he was in a daze for almost half an hour before he started typing on the keyboard. Another half an hour passed, and he typed less than 500 words, but Lin Feng had to continue to type, and there were fewer and fewer manuscripts saved. Another 2 hours passed, and I finally wrote a 3,000-word chapter. After reading it from beginning to end, I was not satisfied at all, so I deleted this chapter because I was busy just now. Lin Feng's cell phone rang again. He hoped it was Su Qingyuan who called, and then had a good talk, but this time it was his editor-in-chief Wen Qing who was not sick. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to the starting point, to vote for recommendation and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 157. Lin Feng smiled and said, Editor-in-Chief AI, are you looking for me? AI Wen said, look at you, and forgot, didn't I remind you twice? Call me Wen Qing, this is more cordial. Lin Fengzin said, you are the editor-in-chief, I am the author, what do you want to be so kind? What's more, you are still a beauty editor-in-chief, and it is easy to cause problems if you are too kind. Lin Feng said, Wen Qing, you must have something important to call me this time, right? AI Wen said, I want to invite you to dinner, I wonder if you have other arrangements? If there is another arrangement, it is to bring food to Dainan, and then watch the store together, but Lin Feng can't refute AI Wen's face, and doing so will not benefit him at all. Lin Feng said, okay, let's have dinner together, but you want me to treat you. Last time you invited me, this time I should invite you. AI Wen said, okay, your book is so popular, I will give you a chance to express, you invite me, then you will wait for me outside the supermarket near the company building. Wen Qing, the beauty editor-in-chief, was not sick. The call made Lin Feng feel much better. Taking a look at the time, Lin Feng planned to use the next hour to code more than 3,000 words. He was much more inspired than before, and it was easy to code it out. More than 3,000 words, and then closed the document. Lin Feng went to a nearby KFC to buy hamburgers and chicken wings, and then went to his and Dinan's shop. Two girls were shopping, and Dinan followed them and introduced them patiently. Lin Feng put the hamburger and chicken wings on the cashier, and then sat on the chair to smoke. The two girls didn't have the desire to shop because of Dinan's patience. After shopping for 10 minutes, they left without buying anything. Dinan came over in disappointment, but said helplessly, "It seems that my Taoism is not enough. I introduced it so carefully just now, but neither of them bought anything." Lin Feng said, "We can't expect that not everyone who comes in will buy things." Dinan said that it took almost 4 hours since you left until now, and it took more than 100 yuan to sell. Lin Feng said, "It doesn't matter, anyway, today's turnover has reached more than 800, and if you sell a little bit at night, it will exceed 1000. Dinan said, "Why did you come early?" Lin Feng said, "The editor-in-chief invited me for dinner, so I bought you hamburger wings in advance." Dinan was very moved, knowing that Lin Feng was afraid of starving her, looked at Lin Feng's face, and smiled charmingly, "Thank you, my good friend." Lin Feng took a taxi to the supermarket near the company building, and saw that Ai Wen was already waiting for him, dressed in elegant clothes and carrying an Armani bag. Lin Feng walked over quickly after getting off the car and said with a smile, "I left early, but the road was blocked." Ai Wen smiled and said, "It doesn't matter, I just arrived a few minutes ago, let's go to that restaurant." Lin Feng and Ai Wen walked into the restaurant and sat in the private room. Lin Feng pushed the menu to Ai Wen and smiled, "Whatever you want to eat. Don't save me money." Ai Wen said that she didn't want to save you money, but the two dishes she ordered were not expensive. At least it was much lower than Lin Feng's expectations. When Ai Wen ordered food, Lin Feng stared at her delicate face for a while. Ai Wen noticed that Lin Feng was looking at her face, and his eyes with silver-rimmed glasses flickered a few times, very cute and delicious. But Ai Wen's temperament is definitely not as simple as cute, she is a very elegant and temperamental beauty, and at the same time she has the element of wenqing in her bones, so her taste is very complex and intoxicating. The menu was in Lin Feng's hands. When it was time for him to play, he ordered 3 signature dishes, none of which were cheap. Ai Wen didn't remind Lin Feng that it was too wasteful. She seemed to be looking at Lin Feng, and she didn't seem to be looking at him. Lin Feng felt that Ai Wen seemed to be staring at his face, but he did not look at Ai Wen's face, worried that the eyes of the two would meet. He is facing his editor-in-chief, and he cannot be easily teased, otherwise he may pay a heavy price for it. Yvonne said, "I'm going to drive and stop drinking, but you can drink." Lin Feng said, "Then you drink juice, I drink liquor." Ai Wen smiled and nodded, and Lin Feng asked for a bottle of liquor that cost more than 50 yuan. Lin Feng and Ai Wen raised their glasses. Ai Wen said, "Lin Feng, I wish your book more and more popular, cheers." After Lin Feng and Ai Wen clinked glasses, he didn't dry up the 3 or 2 liquor in the glass, but just took a big sip. Ai Wen's red lips moved, he took a sip of juice, and then ate it with vegetables. Lin Feng also ate the vegetables and said with a smile, "Wen Qing, what does the company think of my book now?" Ai Wen said that from the general manager to the editor-in-chief and other editor-in-chief, your book is highly evaluated. I was reading your book and found that your book is very tasty. Although I am your editor-in-chief, you're before the book, I only read dozens of chapters. After all, I am usually too busy, but now I have seen your latest chapter. I will take this opportunity to eat together to urge you to update it." Lin Feng said, "No problem, since you have urged the update, then I will add 2 more chapters tomorrow." Ai Wen said, "What about the day after tomorrow?" Lin Feng said with a smile, "The day after tomorrow, it is estimated that there will be no more updates. A friend and I have just opened a small shop together to sell women's bags and accessories, So there are a lot of things going on recently. Ai Wen said, writing books and doing business at the same time. I admire you very much. Lin Feng said, I have nothing to admire, a very ordinary person, but I admire you very much. You are very insightful, and you have written several books before. Ai Wen said, I don't mean to invite you to dinner this time, it's not the company's intention, it's my personal intention. I just want to sit and chat with you, but I can also tell you with great assurance that within 2 months, it is very likely that your book will increase in price again, and this time by quite a bit. Lin Feng was very excited, but his expression was very calm, and he said with a smile, isn't it going to increase from 40,000 words to 80,000 words all at once? Ai Wen smiled gently, and the style was diffused, who knows? Only then will we know. Lin Feng's heart was full of fantasies, which also stimulated his desire to drink. Lin Feng's alcohol intake was not too small, but he was not addicted to alcohol, and he would not think about it even if he didn't touch alcohol for a few months. Lin Feng finished drinking more than 3 or 2 white wines in the glass, filled another glass, and smiled at Ai Wen. Ai Wen also smiled at Lin Feng, you can drink enough. Lin Feng said, it's okay. Soon I talked about several popular urban books on the station recently. Ai Wen thinks that the urban novels written by Lin Feng are very distinctive, from the writing to the plot construction. There is a lot of potential to become a top god. If it weren't for the sky-high reward from Yangchun Baixiu, the company would not have attached so much importance to Lin Feng's books, because the company has many authors, as well as many great authors, and each editor faces many books every day. If it weren't for the sky-high reward of Baixiu, there would not be so many readers who read his books with a curious attitude, and those who thought he wrote well would naturally turn into his real readers. If the price can be raised a lot within 2 months, Yangchun Baixiu will have contributed, but Lin Feng can't find her. There is no way to repay her. When we walked out of the hotel together, Lin Feng's wine smell is very strong. Ai Wen proposed to drive Lin Feng home. Lin Feng actually agreed, and wanted to change his mind and say that there is no need to send it, I will go by myself, but he has already got into the Mondeo sedan with Ai Wen. The smell of lily perfume floated in the car, which reminded Lin Feng of the smell of Dainan. This smell is very similar, and Lin Feng's body is tall and straight. After Lin Feng showed Ai Wen the way, Ai Wen suddenly said, do you want to visit my house? Lin Feng was surprised, what happened to the beauty editor-in-chief? After he drank, he even invited him to be a guest at home. Lin Feng doesn't know if Ai Wen has a boyfriend, but what is certain is that Ai Wen is not married yet. Lin Feng joked that he didn't know if it was convenient or not. If your boyfriend saw it, he would misunderstand. Ai Wen said, are you doubting my IQ? Since I asked you to come home. That must be convenient. Lin Feng smiled and said, okay, let's go to your house to have a look. Mondeo speeding on the asphalt road. Ai Wen's driving posture is very flavorful, and his slender legs are very dynamic when he steps on the accelerator and brakes. She is a delicate and dynamic female Wenking, her temperament is excellent, and her taste is intoxicating. Ai Wen's home has arrived. It is a small 3-bedroom set of more than 90 square meters. The decoration is simple and elegant, and the furniture and appliances are very tasteful. It was only when Lin Feng changed his slippers that he felt how wise it was for him to change into a new pair of socks when he came out in the afternoon. Lin Feng sat on the soft sofa. Ai Wen turned on the 55-inch LCD TV, tuned it to the high-definition station, and then made tea and sat down beside Lin Feng. In such a warm atmosphere, tasting the smell of lily perfume, Lin Feng wanted to hug Ai Wen's soft fragrance into his arms, but he absolutely couldn't do such a crazy thing. In the first second, Ai Wen also thought that he was an author with great potential to become a god. If he made such a move, the next second Ai Wen would regard him as a rogue, and he might be angrily kicked away, then kept putting small shoes on him. Lin Feng took a sip of tea and said with a smile, "Your Biluakan is from the Ming dynasty, and it tastes very good." Ai Wen said, "It seems that you are very proficient in tea." "It is indeed Mingqian tea, but it was last year. This year's Mingqian tea has not yet come out. I bought tea last year and put it in the refrigerator. Take it out and drink it fresh." Lin Feng said, "Is this your own house?" Ai Wen said, "Yes, my parents are out of town, but they bought me this house from Beijing." Lin Feng snorted and said in his heart, "If someone marries you, there is no need to worry about nowhere to live." But Lin Feng feels that Ai Wen is so beautiful, so temperamental, and has a diploma. It is impossible for her to have never been in love before. Maybe she also has a boyfriend now, but she is not in Beijing. If you ask, you may be able to satisfy your curiosity, but it is also easy to misunderstand, so it is better not to ask. Ai Wen said, "Do you know why I asked you to have dinner?" Lin Feng was stunned. After a while, he said with a smile, "I was puzzled at first, but I found out later, for the sake of chatting books." The reply Lin Feng just gave was obviously a foolish answer. Ai Wen smiled and shook his head, "You made a mistake just now. In fact, I invited you to dinner because of the recent plot in your book." Lin Feng said, "Is the latest small story or a big story?" "I wrote more than 100,000 words of this recent big story before I finished it, and then I started a new story." Ai Wen said that it was the recent big story about the woman who loved the man very much, but the man went abroad for his dream. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to the starting point, to vote for recommendation and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 158. Lin Feng was very surprised. Whenever he wanted to smoke at this time, he didn't see the ashtray on the coffee table. There was no smoke smell in the living room. Ai Wen understood what Lin Feng was looking for. She smiled and got up, walked gracefully to the bedroom, then took out a beautiful octagonal crystal ashtray and put it on the coffee table. "What brand do you smoke?" "Smoke." Lin Feng took out the cigarette and said with a smile, "The soft-packed yellow Crane Tower 1916, such an expensive cigarette must not have been bought by me, but by a friend." Ai Wen said, "Give me one too." Lin Feng was even more surprised. He didn't expect that Ai Wen not only did not object to him smoking in the living room, but she was also a smoking woman. The beauty editor also smoked, which really surprised Lin Feng. Lin Feng handed Ai Wen a cigarette, took out the World War II commemorative sterling silver lighter that Dinan gave him, lit her a cigarette, and said with a smile, "Wen Qing, I didn't expect you to smoke too." Ai Wen said that in the big story you wrote recently, the woman learned to smoke after her boyfriend went abroad for her dream, and so did I in the story you conceived. The story of the hero and heroine is too similar to me, and my boyfriend is gone, and I even doubt that you know my privacy. Lin Feng said with a relieved smile, "My big story also wrote about the hero and heroine doing that thing in the kitchen." Ai Wen's face immediately turned red. He glared at Lin Feng angrily, and when he raised his fist, he slapped him. "You are so annoying, there is no such thing." Lin Feng said, "So I don't know your privacy, it can only be regarded as a coincidence." Ai Wen did not continue to be angry. The red lips moved and blew out a breath of smoke. "It's a sin to tease beauty editors, your homepage recommendation position next week will be cancelled." Lin Feng knew that Ai Wen was an editor-in-chief who was fair to different authors. He has a very good reputation in the authors' circle, and he definitely won't deduct his recommendation just because of his teasing, but he still pretended to be very pitiful and said with a smile, "Wen Qing, you can't do this. If you deduct it, if I get my homepage recommendation position next week, I may not be popular." Ai Wen's smile was a bit hot. "You have a bright spring and white snow, that rich lady is very fierce, and the high price she gave you caused a sensation. It is much better than a homepage recommendation." Lin Feng said, "I don't even know who she is, How do you know? Maybe she is not a rich lady, but a lonely rich woman. The only thing for sure is that she is very rich, otherwise she would not spend so much money on reading coins to reward me. Ai Wen laughed, his full chest trembled gently. If it was Wang Xiaoqian's or Dinan's chest shaking at this time, he would take the opportunity to touch it a few times, but at this time it was the beauty editor-in-chief Wen Qing's chest that was shaking, not a disease. He can't touch it easily. It's not a hooligan if you say simple words to tease. It would be a bit too rascal if he touched the beauty editor's chest. The atmosphere relaxed a lot with Ai Wen's laughter, and Lin Feng blew a sigh of smoke. Tell me the story of you and your boyfriend. Ai Wen said, it is similar to the plot you wrote, at least 90%. I think you are a writer who understands life very well, otherwise you would not be able to write this kind of plot. Lin Feng said, I know a little bit about life, but I definitely have no such experience before. It is conceived on the basis of life. Ai Wen said, my boyfriend and I are from the same university, and I am a Chinese department. He is a finance major, my parents are businessmen, and his family is relatively superior. His family conditions are very difficult. Even if he can get a scholarship every semester, his life is still very difficult. When I was in college, I often helped out he. From the sophomore year to the graduation of the senior year, I was very loving with him. Later, when I worked and he went to graduate school, my relationship with him was still very good. Later, when I was about to marry him, he went abroad. You see, this house is the wedding house that my parents prepared for me and him. It cost more than 2 million yuan to buy it. Lin Feng said, which country did he go to? Ai Wen said, in the United States, he went to work in an investment bank, and the salary was very good. He is a person who is very talented in finance. I believe his future will be brilliant. Lin Feng said, but the love between the two of you has withered. The future is brilliant, but love withers, which is cruel to anyone. But in reality, some people will give up love for the future, and some people will give up the future for love. Ai Wen said, in fact, I can also go abroad, but if I go to the United States, it is impossible to do my favorite original work, and my parents are only my daughter, they will have to rely on me in the future. If I go abroad, when they needed me, there was no one around to bring tea and water. I seriously considered it for half a year, and then decided to stay. Lin Feng lit a cigarette again. That half year must have been very painful for you. Ai Wen said, it was very painful. I lost a lot of weight in that half year, and even suffered from neurasthenia. I don't know how many times I cried. In your plot, the heroine did the same. Lin Feng said, listening to you, I really write like you, but this is just a coincidence in life. I don't know anything about your past. Ai Wen said, after more than a year of healing, my mood has improved a lot, and now I am still a little nervous. I can't hear the sound at night, and a very slight sound may wake me up, but after reading your novel, my heart is heavy again. Maybe I'm going to lose sleep tonight. Aren't you very bad? The plot written by Lin Feng can make the beauty editor insomnia, and he is considered capable, but Lin Feng does not want Ai Wen to sleep. He hopes that Ai Wen can sleep soundly every night, or not dream. Even if he dreams, he must have a good dream. Lin Feng said, if beating me up will make you feel better, then you should be beating me up a bit. Let's talk about it first. After you beat me up, give me a few more good recommendations. Ai Wen laughed again. Her smile was very happy at this time, her beautiful eyes flashed, and her red lips moved. Don't take such a back door. Your books are now the company's key recommendation targets. You don't need to worry about recommending positions. Maybe you are the next top of the company. I'm not talking about a small or a middle god, but a top god. Lin Feng is not yet a top-level god, but he knows very well what a top level is. Lin Feng was very excited. If he really becomes a top god, it will no longer be a dream to earn millions or even tens of millions a year. At that time, he can be low-key or shy, and his quality of life will improve too much. A famous car is not a dream, a luxury house is not a dream, and a beautiful woman is not a dream. He can be a noble, dashing, and conscientious man. But it will take effort and time, if he is arrogant. Even if Yang Chun Baeksu continues to reward him, he also has no hope of becoming a top god. Tian Xingjian, a gentleman should be self-improvement. Lin Feng will continue to work hard, he will seize any opportunity that can be seized, and let his future take off. Lin Feng said, maybe your one will come back. With his talent, even if he stays in China and in Beijing, he can find a good job, so he doesn't have to lose you. Evan said. He's not coming back, he's going to put down roots in America, maybe he'll marry a white American girl. Lin Feng said that anything can happen, maybe he will marry a black man, except for his teeth, all other parts are black. Oh, by the way. Do you usually write novels? Ai Wen said that he had written a book about women's frequency before, but now he basically has no time to write it. I am very satisfied with the salary offered by the company, so I am willing to devote all my energy to editing, but when I have free time, I will write some prose and modern poetry. Sure enough, it is Wen Qing, and Ai Wen is a very normal beauty. She is not sick, so the online name Wen Qing is not too sick. Lin Feng said. Could you show me your prose and modern poetry? Ai Wen thought about it and said, I can show it to you, but you can't laugh at me after you see it. Lin Feng said, I will definitely not laugh at you, and I also said in my heart, laughing at you is not good for me at all, not to mention that you are so beautiful and temperamental. If I laugh at you, it will take considerable courage, and I will occasionally do shocking things. But not often. Ai Wen likes to sit at the writing desk in the bedroom and write prose and modern poetry. At the same time, everything she writes is also stored in the drawer of the writing desk. She has no plans to take Lin Feng to the bedroom, because the bedroom has a big bed, which is too ambiguous. Going in with a man can be problematic. Although Ai Wen is the editor-in-chief of Lin Feng, she has a good impression of Lin Feng so far, but she doesn't know much about Lin Feng's character. If the novel has always been regarded as a good character, then Lin Feng's character is indeed very good. Is this what Ai Wen can understand? What about in real life? Lin Feng's body is very strong at first glance. If he is impulsive, it is difficult to say whether he would do such a crazy thing regardless of a woman's resistance. Ai Wen is a serious woman and a very cautious woman. The main reason for inviting Lin Feng to be a guest at home is to stimulate Lin Feng's recent plot, and she will not easily take Lin Feng to her bedroom. Ai Wen took out 2 prose and 2 modern poems that he was satisfied with, and said with a smile, look, I wrote this years ago. At that time, my parents asked me to go home for the new year, but I still stayed in Beijing alone. The mood is very complicated, and what is written may be a little heavy. Lin Feng read it very seriously. The 2 essays written by Ai Wen are Lost Love and Are You Okay Over There? The writing is simple and mature, and the feelings are sincere. Lin Feng saw Ai Wen's talent and Ai Wen's love for the man named Qin. When Lin Feng finished reading the 2 essays and planned to read modern poetry, Ai Wen explained that the diligence mentioned in the prose was my ex-boyfriend Zhou Liqin. Lin Feng said, what is Zhou Liqin's profit? Ai Wen said, the interests of the interests. Lin Feng said that this name is indeed suitable for him. He not only likes the reward of heaven, but he also likes to defend his own interests. At the same time, this advantage is also used. It is estimated that he is a person who likes to be self-centered very much. He was poor in college. This is the case at times, and even more so when you have a golden job. Lin Feng's analysis was correct. Ai Wen was a little unable to face it, and even a little annoyed. He looked at Lin Feng's face coldly and said, what kind of person he is, you are not qualified to judge. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to the starting point, to vote for recommendation and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Peach Youth. Author, Suk Feng. Chapter 159. I accidentally asked Ai Wen to criticize. Hearing Ai Wen's sharp words, Lin Feng was very embarrassed and said with a smile, "Wen Qing, don't be angry, I just said that casually. I figured it out, although we broke up, but he still holds a very important place in your heart. If he comes back now, after a few days of anger with him, you will frantically throw yourself into his arms, hug him tightly, and prevent him from running away." Ai Wen blushed and shouted at Lin Feng. After a while, "I think you really deserve to be beaten," and then the pink fist hit Lin Feng, first hitting Lin Feng's shoulder and arm, and then a punch to Lin Feng's chest. Lin Feng grabbed Ai Wen's wrist and said with a smile, "Look at the punch you tried to attack my chest just now. It looks like it. Have you practiced Kung Fu before?" Ai Wen was surprised and wondered, "How can you even see this? I seriously doubt that you have ever known me on purpose before." Lin Feng said, "Really no, you misunderstood, because I know Kung Fu, so I can see from your punch that you have practiced Kung Fu. Are you good at Kung Fu?" "Yes," Lin Feng said. "Not bragging." "No," Lin Feng said. "Then are you a master?" "Yes." It may be that Lin Feng's answer was too succinct, which made Ai Wen very uncomfortable. Ai Wen said, "You are really confident. If you are a master of writing online novels, I believe it, because I am your editor-in-chief. If you say I don't believe in Kung Fu at all, don't think that if you can hold my wrist, you will know Kung Fu. I did practice Kung Fu before. My dad is my master, but what my dad knows is a bit of low-level boxing. He is not master. I'm even less of an expert, so even if you grab my wrist, it doesn't mean how high your Kung Fu is, maybe you won't." Lin Feng didn't want to be too embarrassed in front of Ai Wen. Ai Wen's experience in love made him very sympathetic. Although his love was not smooth sailing, it was even as tangled as Ai Wen, but now it seems that he is not in front of Ai Wen. It's not good to be stunned. If you leave a bragging impression on the beauty editor-in-chief, it's not good. Lin Feng said. "Do you want to try my Kung Fu?" Evan said. "Okay, let's make a gesture in my living room, but don't move too violently, otherwise it will affect the neighbors downstairs." It sounds ambiguous, as if the two of them are going to do that thing on the ground, but even if they do that thing on the ground, because the body area of a person is relatively large, even if there is a loud noise, it will not be. It will be as sharp as a drop, and it will basically not affect the neighbors downstairs. If the soundproofing of the door is poor, people passing by the corridor may hear it. What are you thinking about, kid? Ai Wen seemed to see what Lin Feng was thinking, and he punched Lin Feng's face. The speed was not very fast. Lin Feng avoided it easily. Opened. From it, Lin Feng felt that Ai Wen did have a Kung Fu foundation, but she was indeed not a master. Ai Wen's slender legs were raised. The smell of lily perfume kicked at Lin Feng, and Lin Feng moved Ai Wen's leg casually. In fact, he could easily hug Ai Wen's leg. But doing that would be suspected of molesting Ai Wen. "Look at my fist." Although Lin Feng reminded Ai Wen, when his fist hit Ai Wen's stomach, Ai Wen still couldn't avoid it. It's just that when Lin Feng's fist almost touched Ai Wen's stomach, his strength was relieved, and a light touch was like a stroking. "Watch out." Lin Feng reminded Ai Wen again that his fist changed direction and hit Ai Wen's beautiful face. He also let go of his strength when he almost touched Ai Wen's face, causing Ai Wen to scream in horror. The moment Lin Feng stepped back, he reminded him to look at my legs. His right leg was pulled up high and brushed across Ai Wen's cheek, and the moment Ai Wen held his head, he screamed again. "Lin Feng, get your magical powers now." Ai Wen shouted with conviction, and Lin Feng also withdrew his fists and sat on the sofa proudly. Ai Wen's beautiful eyes flickered, looking at Lin Feng's face as if he were looking at alien creatures, and said with admiration, "I didn't expect it, I really didn't expect you to be a genius with both civil and military skills." Ai Wen's high evaluation made Lin Feng feel very comfortable, and the small universe in his body erupted several times in a row. He even imagined what it would look like if he wore his shorts on. He would also rush down the top of the building hundreds of meters high down the rope, shouting, "Master, come here," the villain stops. Lin Feng lit a cigarette and took a sip. "I'm just an ordinary person. I'm in the crowd, and I won't be noticed by too many people. If you want to stand out, you must keep working hard. There are indeed very few people in this world who don't. It took a lot of hard work to get great results, but this kind of good thing doesn't fall on my head." Ai Wen said, "With my little effort, I can deal with two very ordinary people. Compared with you, the gap is too big. If you hadn't been merciful to me just now, I guess I would have sent you to the hospital. Even my face is bleeding, so scary. Maybe 5 of my teamwork are not your opponents, and oh, you said that good things will not fall on your head, but I feel that good things have already fallen on your head, and Yang Chun Baixu is your noble person. Not to mention 5 I Wen, even if more than 10 people of her level join forces, it is impossible to beat Lin Feng, sweeping his legs continuously, and solving the problem in 2 minutes at most." At the same time, Lin Feng also admitted that Yang Chun Baixu is indeed his noble person. In the past, when chatting online, it always made him very happy. When he was depressed, it would be much easier to chat with Yang Chun Baixu. But Yang Chun Baixu disappeared from his chat friends. Although he was still reading his books and continuing to give him rewards, he felt that he was farther away from Yang Chun Baixu than before. "I don't know if it is possible to meet Yang Chun Baixu in real life in the future." Lin Feng really wanted to treat Yang Chun Baixu to a good meal, and then buy her a gift. Lin Feng smiled and did not further analyze how high his kung fu was. Even if he was stunned in front of the beauty editor, he had to be careful. The shyness just now was just right, and at the same time, Lin Feng did not continue to chat with Ai Wen about what the Baixu was. Such a person, because he also does not know. Ai Wen said that there are many martial arts gyms in Beijing. "Have you ever thought about finding a martial arts gym as a coach? If you are an excellent coach, you can earn tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands a month." Lin Feng said, "I prefer to write online novels than to find a martial arts coach as a coach. My kung fu is also taught by my father. I started practicing kung fu with him when I was a few years old. I never thought of making a fortune with kung fu. Kung fu is for my health and self-defense." Ai Wen said, "You really have ideas. I admire you so much. I didn't expect you to be such a special person. Maybe we will not only be the editor-in-chief and the author in the future, but will become good friends, right?" Lin Feng said, "Now I am a friend, it is getting late, I should go. Wenqing, I would like to ask you to give me more advice if there is any inadequacy in my book." Ai Wen smiled and said, "The tone of your speech just now was very literary. If you are really a literary young man, you are also a literary young man who knows kung fu. Your novel is very good, I will continue to read it. Remember, even if there is small shop, it is time to add more and more, you have many opportunities." It was almost 10 o'clock in the evening when Lin Feng arrived at Fengnan Fashion Store. He saw Dinan sitting at the checkout counter. There were 2 girls strolling around the store, and he was in charge of introducing them to someone he had never seen before. The girl, about 168 in height, looks very good from the side, and the outline of the face is okay. When the girl turned her head around, Lin Feng saw her face. It wasn't a very delicate type, but that face was quite distinctive and attractive. Her skin was a healthy wheat color, and she smiled very cutely. So far, Lin Feng has met several girls with very attractive faces. Maybe any girl who looks carefully can find her advantages. In the eyes of men, women are always more pleasing to the eye, so there is such a kind of attractiveness. Statement. Lin Feng nodded at the girl, then looked at Chao Dainan and said with a smile, "If I guessed correctly, she is your friend." Dainan said, "Yes, she is my good sister Xiaka Iki." Xiaka Iki called Lin Feng sweetly, "Boss Lin, hello," and then continued to introduce things to the two customers. Lin Feng sat next to Dainan, but Dainan looked at that part of Lin Feng ambiguously, and said in an extremely slight voice, "Ka Iki's body is very hot, isn't that thing of yours hard?" Lin Feng also said softly, "Don't guess, be careful that I pinched your chest." Dainan definitely didn't want Lin Feng to squeeze her chest in front of Xiaka Iki and the two customers, otherwise it would be too shocking. Her red lips twisted, and her round buttocks sitting on the chair twisted. The two customers spent a total of more than 30 yuan and left happily. It seems that they are more satisfied with what they bought. Xiaka Iki walked over with hot steps and smiled, "Boss Lin, I heard Dainan say that you are a very capable and loyal person to friends, and I like to follow people like you. Fuck, take care of me in the future." Lin Feng lit a chimney. "I heard Dainan say that you used to be a beautician in a beauty salon." Xiaka Iki said, "I have not only worked as a beautician, but also a masseuse. I used to be a shopping guide in a specialty store of China World Trade Center." Invested. Lin Feng said, "I just meant that your previous salary should be high and straight, and the minimum monthly income is more than 4,000. When you get here, you can only get a guaranteed takeout commission of 1,500. The commission is actually quite good. Ethereal, may or may not mention a lot of money." Xiaka Iki said that my salary used to be more than 4,000 yuan. In the best months, I even took it for more than 10,000 yuan. However, I have a good relationship with Dainan. I am willing to come here as a shopping guide. I am very fond of our small shop. With confidence, the business will grow bigger and bigger." After a brief chat, Lin Feng had a good impression of Xiaka Iki, at least he didn't immediately notice any serious problems. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to the starting point, to vote for recommendation and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 160. Lin Feng said, "Then you can stay, and you will officially go to work from tomorrow. The treatment is what I just said. The minimum guarantee is 1,500 with a commission, and the commission is based on 5% of the turnover." Xiaka Iki happily said yes, as if she had found a very golden job. Dainan is indeed full of fantasies about this small shop, but Lin Feng can still see it clearly. Even if it can sell 2,000 yuan a day, then Xiaka Iki's commission is only 100 yuan, and it is more than 3,000 yuan a month. Including the guaranteed 1,500 yuan, the total is more than 4,500 yuan. It is estimated that Xiaka Iki's monthly salary as a shopping guide here will hardly exceed 5,000 yuan. Peace. Maybe Xiaka Iki and Dainan have a really strong relationship. She came here not only to make money, but more importantly, to help Dainan. Another customer came in, and Xiaka Iki walked over briskly. "Two beauties, everything in my store is prepared for girls. They are all fashionable and inexpensive. What do you need?" Xiaka Iki's smile and voice are very friendly, and she looks very old-fashioned. Dainan touched Lin Feng's arm and whispered, "You bastard, don't stare at Ka Iki's legs all the time, you won't be fascinated by her graceful body so soon. I can warn you, Ka Iki is my good friend, you are not allowed to play hooligans with her." Dainan almost said, "If you really want to be a hooligan, then play a hooligan to me, don't play a hooligan to her." Lin Feng twisted Dainan's thigh. Dainan grinned in pain, and almost screamed, Lin Feng whispered, which I did. You see me staring at Siaka, my eyes were divergent just now, no focus on someone. You think she's in good shape? I've seen many women in good shape. When Lin Feng said this, he also had to admit that Siaka figure was too good, although her face was only of the attractive type, not the extremely beautiful type, but it was very flavorful. If nothing else, just rely on her figure. If there is a suitable opportunity, if someone packs her, she can be a great model. No money, no background. But with a good figure and a good temperament, this is Siaka. As for her inner self, because the contact time is too short, Lin Feng has no way of knowing. Now that she has come to the store as a shopping guide, there will be opportunities to get to know her in the future. At 10:30 p.m., Fengnan Fashion Store closed today's business, with a turnover of more than 1,200, of which Lu Ziona and her 6 chickens are naturally credited, otherwise the turnover would be more than 700 at best. Siaka just came. Dainan offered to invite her to a late-night snack, and Lin Feng definitely had no opinion. They sat down together at a nearby barbecue restaurant and ordered skewers and side dishes. Lin Feng said, Siaka, do you drink beer or liquor? Siaka said, let's be white, white is enjoyable. Oh. Don't call me Siaka in the future, it sounds too formal and will become more and more familiar in the future. Just call me Kaiki. Lin Feng said, then don't always call me Boss Lin in the future. It sounds like I'm a big man who turns his hands into clouds and turns his hands into rain. Just call me Lin Feng. Siaka said okay, and then said, Lin Feng, you will definitely be a big man in the future, you will become a top online novel god. You will also become a super boss, driving millions of cars, living in tens of millions of villas, and many beautiful women circling around you. Lin Feng smiled, and Dainan also smiled. Lin Feng said that ideas are beautiful and reality is cruel, but it is better to have ideas than no ideas. Dainan looked at Lin Feng's face with very ambiguous eyes and said, I also believe that you will definitely become a big man. When that time comes, you can't forget our former friends. Lin Feng said, I am a consistent person, a friend in the past and a friend in the future. Good man, cheers. Dainan raised the wine glass, and Lin Feng and Siaka also raised the wine glass. After clinking the glasses, Lin Feng and Dainan both took a sip, but Siaka actually drank about 3 or 2 of the white wine in the glass. Lin Feng and Dainan were both surprised. Lin Feng said, you are so bold, and Dainan said, Kaiki, you are crazy. Drinking like this is very harmful to the body, and it is easy to get drunk. The stimulation of alcohol made Siaka's face flush, but she still spoke clearly, it doesn't matter, my alcohol intake is okay, drinking 7 or 8 taels of white wine is no problem, this is the first time I have eaten with Lin Feng, I am very happy, it's normal to drink a lot. It was almost midnight when she walked out of the barbecue shop. Lin Feng and Dainan were fine, but Siaka was almost drunk and started to sway when she walked, but she has a good figure and has a good temperament to walk. Siaka also rented a partition room. It was almost 10 kilometers away from this street. It was so late and she was almost drunk. Dainan suggested that Siaka live there, but Siaka had no objection. Lin Feng went back to his master bedroom, Dainan took Siaka to her partition room, just sitting on the chair, Siaka was about to stand up, blowing a breath of alcohol, I'll go to Lin Feng's room to see, I haven't seen it yet. What's it like to go through his room? Dainan said, it's so late, you drink like this again, and he still has to code, don't go. Siaka pushed Dainan and showed a very hot smile, I just want to see Lin Feng's code words, I haven't seen anyone who writes online novels before, I'm very curious, you know, I'm very curious people. Siaka was going to Lin Feng's room, and Dainan planned to go with her. Lin Feng just turned on the computer and was browsing the pages when he heard a knock on the door. He opened the door, smiled and said, "Come in." Dainan and Xiaka Iki walked in, and Lin Feng's room immediately smelled stronger and stronger. Dainan and Xiaka Iki's skin smelled very good, and there was also a mixture of lily perfume and rose perfume. What is intoxication? It's called intoxication. Immersed in this intoxication, and also stimulated by alcohol and nicotine, Lin Feng's body is extraordinarily tall and straight, but he must remain calm, although he does not want Xiaka Iki to call him Boss Lin, but in front of Xiaka Iki, he has to have the look of the boss. Lin Feng sat on the sofa, Dainan and Xiaka Iki sat beside him. Xiaka Iki said, "Great writer, Dainan and I are here. Are you not coding? Hurry up and code it, I want to see it." Lin Feng lit a cigarette and blew out a breath of smoke with a smile. "I'm very shy when typing. If someone looks at it, I can't figure it out. If you don't believe me, ask Dainan." Xiaka Iki looked at Chao Dainan and said with a smile, "Is what Lin Feng said true?" Dainan said that he is just like that, if anyone looks at him. He didn't know what to write. Xiaka Iki said, "No, I have to see." She was originally sitting next to Dainan, but she got up and sat on Lin Feng's side. Her soft hands supported Lin Feng's shoulders, showing a very hot smile. "Please, sir." "Writer, code, I haven't seen what a big writer's code looks like." Although Xiaka Iki's aroma is very intoxicating, her soft hands are very comfortable. But Lin Feng was still a little annoyed. Xiaka Iki had just come to his and Dainan's store as a shopping guide. Lin Feng was unlikely to lose his temper at her, and said with a smile, "Since you really want to see it, I will show it to you." Lin Feng sat on the chair, opened the document, and pulled down to the most recent chapter. He smiled at Xiaka Iki and started coding. The following plots and scenes were conceived in advance, so Lin Feng tapped the keyboard very fast. A look like a fountain of literary thoughts. Xiaka Iki's thinking seemed to be a little random. She said for a while, "What did you write?" and then said again, "You wrote really well." Dainan was very angry, thinking that Xiaka Iki's non-stop chatter would affect Lin Feng's creation, which was originally after midnight. If the idea is affected, I don't know how late Lin Feng will have to write it before he can finish it. Dainan said, "Ka-iki, that's almost it, we should go back to rest, and we will be open for business tomorrow." Xiaka Iki said, "I still need to see, or you should go back to sleep first, I will go back within an hour." Dainan was even more angry, and said coldly, "Look, I'll go back first." Dainan and Xiaka Iki are good friends and are very familiar with each other, so it's okay for her to play a little temper with Xiaka Iki. Dainan walked out quickly. Xiaka Iki stuck out her tongue while looking at Dainan's back, and looked at Lin Feng's face again, said with a smile, "You continue." Lin Feng continued to code words. At this time, he wrote a fighting scene. Lin Feng's kung fu is very high, and he is very skilled in fighting moves and scene design. At least hundreds of readers have commented before. The scene is very exciting and reasonable, and the analysis of various kung fu at home and abroad is in place. In the past, Xiaka Iki had read many martial arts novels, and Jin Yang, Gulong, and Liang Yusheng had read a lot of novels, and naturally there were many fighting scenes. After reading the fighting scenes written by Lin Feng, Xiaka Iki had a feeling of being in the real world. She smiled and said, "You write really well. I admire you so much. I will read your novels in the future. Most of what I read in the past were physical objects books, I haven't read online novels much, so let's start with reading your novels." Lin Feng said, "Thank you for your support." Xiaka Iki said, "We are all friends now, you are my boss again, and it is necessary to support you." Lin Feng continued to code. It was past 1 o'clock in the morning, but Xiaka Iki had no intention of leaving. The wine smell is dispersing, the aroma is dispersing, and the hormonal taste is dispersing. Linfeng said, Kaiki, should you go back to sleep? Xia Kaiki's smile became hot again. What's the matter? Drive me away? Think I'm annoying? Linfeng said, no, you're not bothered at all, but it's already past 1 o'clock in the morning. If you don't sleep, you will be very tired when you get up in the morning, especially for a beautiful girl like you must pay attention to rest, otherwise it will affect your skin. Textured. Xia Kaiki's graceful body twisted slightly, her full swaggering in front of Linfeng. Is my figure okay? Linfeng said, very good. Xia Kaiki said, is it my figure or Dainan's figure? Linfeng said, both of you are in good shape, no difference. Xia Kaiki smiled, I knew you would say that, but I am still a little self-aware. I know very well that although my figure is very good, compared with the dancing elf Dainan, there is still a little gap. If Dainan's and Xia Kaiki's figures must be compared, Dainan's figure must be better. Xia Kaiki is very graceful. Dainan is very graceful. Linfeng stroked Dainan's chest and Dainan's thigh, but he did not stroke Xia Kaiki's body. Although Xia Kaiki was very hot, Linfeng didn't think about how much ambiguity he would play with Xia Kaiki for the time being. Recommended to my friend Kinlita Dark Horse's novel Huaja Wine Sword Immortal, ISBN 272-0593. The content is very exciting and creative. Readers who like this genre can go and read it. To be continued. If you like this work, welcome you come to the starting point, to vote for recommendation and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 161. More than half an hour later, Linfeng was a little anxious. He was very worried that Xia Kaiki would stay in his room this night and not leave. If he had to push Xia Kaiki out, there would inevitably be physical collisions. Who knew Xia Kaiki would get there? When will you cry out hysterically, you rascal, you eat my tofu? Linfeng didn't know Xia Kaiki's temperament, and could not predict what Xia Kaiki would do. Linfeng finally breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Xia Kaiki say, I went out first and you went to bed earlier. After Xia Kaiki went out, Linfeng speeded up the coding speed and planned to lie down on the bed for another half an hour. The big soft bed in the master bedroom still made him very comfortable. Linfeng thought that Wen Qing, the beauty editor, was not sick, that is, the beautiful woman named Ai Wen. He didn't expect that the big story he wrote recently was so similar to Ai Wen's real life, as if he wrote Ai Wen. Ai Wen was stunned, and Linfeng was also stunned. Ai Wen invited Linfeng to be a guest at home, and Linfeng was stunned in front of Ai Wen. Ai Wen admires Linfeng, and Linfeng admires Ai Wen very much. Linfeng felt that he couldn't always think about the editor-in-chief of beauty, forced his mind to return to the plot of the novel, and continued to tap his green axis mechanical keyboard. Dainan's partition room. She was still very angry when she saw Xia Kaiki, and said angrily, You can't restrain yourself. You have only known Linfeng for a few hours, don't be so hot, okay, scaring him, it won't do you any good. Xia Kaiki said, look at what you said, am I hot in front of him? I didn't feel it at all. Besides, I'm not such a hot girl, but I have a good impression of Linfeng, even though I just met him. But I found him to be really talented. Dainan said, you will find more and more that he is a capable person, and I doubt that you will fall in love with him, but he is an undergraduate student and a person who can write books, and his grade is much higher than ours. Xia Kaiki didn't continue to say anything. She took off her clothes, and even took off her chest photo, and lay on the bed wearing only a pair of black lace trousers. Wheat-colored skin exudes an intoxicating radiance. There was a bright smile on the corner of his mouth, and his slender legs opened and closed. Dainan lay down beside Xia Kaiki in her nightgown, patted her thigh lightly, and said with a smile, it's really elastic. For a long time before, Xiakaiki didn't know that Dainan and Zhao Fei were a couple. It can be said that when playing games at that time, the electric rod often buzzed, but Dainan and Zhao Fei's secret work still doing well. But later Dainan and Zhao Fei had a big conflict, and friends in the circle knew it. Xiakaiki also knew. Dainan patted Xiakaiki's leg just now, which made her very nervous, so she immediately moved away and said anxiously, "Your old problem is not going to happen again, although I only wear a pair of shorts, but you can't put your hand in it. Touch, or I'll ignore you." Instead of being angry, Dainan was relieved, because she had indeed played love games before. Since you have played it and let others know, you can't be afraid of what others say. Dainan said, "Don't worry. I only like men now, not women." Xiakaiki said, "Really?" Dainan said, "It must be true." Xiakaiki said, "Do you like Lin Feng? Have you ever thought about being his girlfriend?" Dainan said, "I thought about it, but it's not realistic. I can't be Lin Feng's girlfriend. It is impossible for Lin Feng to let me be his girlfriend." Xiakaiki said, "Why?" Dainan said that because he knows my past, I will not be his girlfriend, because he wants to find someone with similar conditions as his girlfriend, so he will not let me be his girlfriend. Xiakaiki said, "It sounds very tangled, but you are a super beauty, and there will definitely be many men who will like you in the future. Maybe your future boyfriend will be a rich young master. At that time, I am short of money and you have to borrow it. Give me." Dainan and Xiakaiki chatted for a long time. It was almost 3 o'clock in the morning before falling asleep. Xiakaiki's leg was on Dainan's lap. In the dream, Dainan felt it, did not push her away, and did not touch her. Dainan cares too much about her and Lin Feng's small shop. Although she slept very late, she woke up before 7 in the morning, sat up and sat there for a while, then took off her nightgown, put on clothes, and got out of bed. He sat down on a chair and smoked a cigarette. When she was smoking, Dainan's expression was blurred. She thought about the future of the store and her own future. The most realistic idea was how much the store could sell today. That hope excites her, and that hope worries her. Dainan returned to the partition room after washing up, and saw that Xiakaiki was still sleeping so soundly. If she hadn't been called, she probably wouldn't wake up within 3 hours. At this time, Xiakaiki was crawling on the bed sideways to sleep, her round buttocks were very upturned, and the black lace were a bit biased, and the inner clues could be vaguely seen. A very wet thought appeared in Dainan's mind. If Lin Feng saw Xiakaiki crawling on the bed at this time, his body would instantly stand up. Chao Xiakaiki rushed over and tore off her panties. Dainan patted Xiakaiki's buttocks and shouted, "Kaiki, get up." Xiakaiki was dreaming a beautiful dream. She was startled, she got up with a cry, looked at Dainan with sleepy eyes, and complained, "What are you doing, crazy? I'm wearing a wedding dress, and I'm going to have a wedding with an artist soon. If you shoot like this, the wedding will be ruined." Dainan said, "What kind of artist?" Xiakaiki said, "In my dream, the artist had long hair, shawls, sunglasses, and tattoos. He was very cool and talented." "What are these images?" "Long hair and shawl may be the characteristics of the artist, but wearing sunglasses and tattoos, how can you look like a socialist?" Dainan said that the artist in your dream is shocking enough. If you dream of a tall, rich, and handsome person, it seems to be more reliable. Xiakaiki said that being tall, rich, and handsome is unreliable. It's easy to get kicked with such a person. I just want to find a man I can talk to and who is willing to work as my husband. Dainan said, "That's right, get up quickly, I'll go see Lin Feng." Xiakaiki could only put on her clothes and then went to the bathroom to wash up. When contemporary Nan knocked on the door, Lin Feng was already dressed and came over to open the door for her. Dinan walked in and said with a smile, "You're already up. I thought you wouldn't be able to get up if I didn't call you." Lin Feng said, "Just dressed, if you knock on the door 5 minutes earlier, maybe I will open the door for you in shorts." Dinan said, "Then you can't scare me, it's not that I haven't seen your thing, I even used my mouth to make you comfortable." Dinan did use his mouth to solve Lin Feng's problems in the past. When she said this, Lin Feng thought of the wonderful scene at that time and said with a smile, "Why don't you use your mouth for me again now?" Dinan said, "In the future, it will definitely not work now. You have to go to the store immediately. Even if you want pleasure, you can't affect the business of the store." Lin Feng asked Dinan and Xia Kaiki to have breakfast together. The three spent a total of 15 yuan. Xia Kaiki took out 5 yuan and said, "Lin Feng, this is my breakfast money." Lin Feng said, "What are you doing? Since I invited the two of you to eat, I definitely don't need another a." Xia Kaiki said, "I come to Fengnan Fashion Store as a shopping guide, and I don't include food, so I'd better figure it out, otherwise you and Dinan will lose money." Lin Feng laughed, Dinan also laughed. Lin Feng gave Dinan a wink and asked her to explain to Xia Kaiki. Dinan smiled and said, "Kaiki, you are so cute. You come to work in my shop with Lin Feng. You don't include meals, but sometimes we have a meal together, which belongs to friends, whether it is Lin Feng or me. It's normal to invite you to eat. This time, it's just for breakfast. Put away your 5 yuan." Xia Kaiki hummed sweetly and put the 5 yuan in, her big eyes flickering at Lin Feng a few times. Lin Feng vaguely felt that Xia Kaiki had a desire to tease him. He didn't know much about Xia Kaiki's past. He just heard from Dinan that Xia Kaiki was not a casual girl. A man who is pleasing to the eye wants to tease. The Fengnan Fashion Store opened again. Dinan sat on the chair next to the cashier, her beautiful face full of hope, and she was ready to keep accounts. It hardly ever happens. Xia Kaiki stood in a suitable position, her slender legs trembled slightly from time to time, and she was ready to introduce products to customers, but almost 20 minutes passed, and no one entered the door. Dinan looked at Lin Feng very depressed, and said tangled, "If Lu Xiona hadn't come over with a few chickens to take care of the business yesterday, the turnover would have been more than 700 at best. I don't think your acquaintances will take care of the business today. Maybe the turnover will be very bleak, and it will only be able to maintain the capital if it sells 800 yuan a day, and if it is less than 800 yuan, it will lose money, so worrying." Lin Feng said, "As long as we do it well, we can lose money and make money. It is still unpredictable, and we will have to wait at least a month before we can measure it." Xia Kaiki's rounded buttocks twisted briskly and walked to the edge of the cash register. Her graceful body leaned against the cash register with a slant. Her almost hit Lin Feng's leg. Touch. Maybe he will feel soft and warm, but if they really meet, he will definitely feel uncomfortable. Xia Kaiki looked at Dinan's face up close, and showed a bright smile. "My good sister, you have to be calm, even if you have a small store, you can't ask passers-by to come in to buy something, we can't find a few scantily clad girls standing on the road to pull people." Dinan said, "Listen to what you said, we are not a beauty salon, nor do we provide that kind of service, how can we pull people on the road? Don't worry, I will calm down to make you afraid." Lin Feng couldn't imagine how calm he was to make others feel scared. Dinan's casual words seemed to have a very deep meaning. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to the starting point, to vote for recommendation and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation.